All right. So, what's up, summoners? King Blair here. We're coming at you with a late stream tonight since yesterday I was not able to get a video out to you guys or stream since it was the patch and it really caught me off guard. So, what we're going to be going over today is going to be all the updates that I did miss. So, what that means is we're going to be looking at the new heroes, who is Solitar, which is basically Emil, right? So, just Emil. We're also going to be taking a look at Kana, who is actually out right now. And I'm actually pretty excited for her. Not going to lie, she actually seems like she has some potential. And I'm happy that it's a connection hero. So we'll also be talking about her and thoughts about her. Then we'll also be talking about the updates that are currently out right now in Epic 7 that just came out. Some of these which include the crafting event, which looks really cool, although I know at the end of the day I'm probably going to be very disappointed, so I'm going to try not to hype myself up too much for the year that I get of it, as well as the GG collab. Some of my thoughts on that, which is really weird what they did with it this time. I don't know if I like it. It doesn't feel like GG collab. It just feels like a catch up or something. I don't know, it feels weird. It doesn't feel the same as the normal GG collab, which for better or for worse, it is interesting. There's some other really cool updates that we'll also be talking about. So yeah, we're going to be going over all that stuff. So a lot of stuff to cover today. So I'm quite excited, especially the heroes. At first, I was really surprised. But yeah, we should get a good time. So let me set up some good music that we can listen to, that we can get in the background, some chill beats. And then we'll get started, you know? So let me get that playlist running. And we'll be chilling. Alright, so I'm trying to find the patch notes right now. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Update content. Alright, so let's get started. So, hey, what's up, Hufer? MLK yeah, I'm glad it's taking a while to Dust Walker, because I would not have been able to pity MLK. Hey, what's up, Asim? And what's up, Hufer? As far as portraits, so we'll talk about that later on, but just to answer your question succinctly, I think 3 is as much as you really need because of Symbol of Unity. It used to be about 4, but the thing about it is there's a lot of really good artifacts right now, and a lot of the spaces are very capped. It's always nice to have a portrait, right? I run one on my Vivian, who's PvE. I run mine on one of my cleavers, and then I run one for fun, right? So I think I only run 3, and Symbol of Unity, of course. But it's always nice to have extra copies. I would say 3 to 4. Anything else, and it's just like I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, if you're paranoid that it's never gonna come back, then by all means you should definitely try to get more. But I think 3 to 4 is a good number. You should be okay with it. 4 for sure. Anything more with Symbol of Unity being out, it's not worth it. But all right, let me turn on my camera. Actually, oh psych, I can't turn on my camera today. I'm wearing a different type of shirt. Sadly, I'll do it later. But all right, it's a late stream. Yeah, I really like the late streams because y'all know I get kind of crazy when it's a late stream. Let me change my shirt real quick, and then I'll turn on my camera. But so overall, we're gonna start first with the new heroes, which we normally don't start with the heroes, but I do want to talk about them because that's probably what's on everyone's minds, right? Is the new MO hero. What do you think of her, King Blair? Right? I didn't do didn't do my thoughts update last time because it was too early in the day. So let me start my camera. There we go. All right, but let's start with the new ML hero, which is Emil, which just felt that she came out of nowhere. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This I woke up and I was like, what? Who is this? Right? Because like if you didn't know about Ida and you saw this, you would not know right away who this is. You would have thought it's a new hero, right? Which I was like, man, how are they gonna do the imprints, right? And then I started thinking about it, and then I read the comments, and they were like, oh, it's Emil Ida, right? So I was like, oh, there it is, it's Emil Ida, right? So it's Emil Ida this time. She seems really cool so far. I don't like the design too much. I've never been a fan of like these type of designs, but it is really cool that they're doing kind of like different named ML 5 stars, kind of like Royal and Destina. I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of like that aspect of it, but overall it just came very blindsided because someone said before, I don't know how true this was, and I think I remember them saying it, that they weren't going to release any season 3 or season 2 before they released older ones, right? They have not done that. We're still missing ML Sermium, ML Kairon, ML Charles, right? We're still missing a lot of Season 1 ML heroes. We're also missing a lot of ML heroes Season 2, including like ML Kawasu, who was teased super early. I don't know why they teased ML Kawasu so early, but then they put out his sister, ML Kawana, right? It just feels very convoluted, right? It feels like they're not. Oh yeah, ML Yuffie. Granted, we do already have Seaside, ML Seaside, and we have the other one. But again, we have 3 Stennis, so it's not outside of the question that we'll get a third Bellona or a third Yuffie. I would expect to actually get those in the future. Yeah, there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of ML heroes that they haven't done, right? So it felt weird that they just were like, oh, let's skip all of that. Let's go straight for Season 3. Which, I mean, I guess it's like, part of me thinks, here's my take. Part of me thinks, right? Before we get to the gameplay ones. Part of me thinks the reason why they haven't done it is because the artists don't want to work on Season 1 heroes when they're talking about Season 3 storyline. So they probably were like, let's just do Season 3 and Season 2. Let's talk about the stuff we want to do. Right? That's what I think the artists are doing. I don't know why, but maybe it's just because it's fresher in their mind or something. But it is weird that it's a Season 3 hero. Hopefully it's a Season 1 next time. So, very weird. But, alright. Now as far as the skills. Let's actually talk about the skills and let's actually do a quick breakdown of these skills. So she's very... I don't like the design. But I know people will like it, right? Some people will love the design. I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought she looked alright. But as far as the S3, man, alright, if you have not seen this before and you saw this animation, there's no way you would know that she's like that this is not an AoE skill, right? So when she does her S3, the first time I saw this S3, I was like, wait a minute. I just want to show this real quick because I was just talking about it. We'll go back to it. If you saw this skill, and you're telling me this is not AoE? Yo, that's a single target damage skill. Y'all realize that, right? I definitely thought this was a AoE skill, right? But it's not. And because of that, she's not going to be as strong as I thought she was initially, right? So as far as stats, right? So first let's start with stats. Let's do the whole process. You guys know how I like to do it. Yes, this is ML Ida. So you will be able to imprint her with Ida most likely. Just so you know. So that's most likely what's gonna be, right? So let's go back to the skills. Yeah, Tago, it's not an AoE skill, but I thought it was an AoE. I thought it was AoE, but it's actually a single target skill, right? So this is ML Ida. That's what we were talking about. So as far as base stats, she's the same stat line as Sage Ball, where she has okay attack. Okay, pretty good HP for a mage actually. Really good speed, 115. Really good defense. No offensive stat, and then the effectiveness F-res split. She gets herself effectiveness, which is actually kind of nice for what she does, and she also gets health for the team. But the effectiveness is the big one, right? So now looking at the actual skills and what she does, this S2 is very good in the right situation. And that's the first thing I saw it. And I think the new design style of Smilegate is releasing units with passives that hard counter other units. Because when you start thinking of things, Emma Lilibet has a very strong passive that counters these type of things. Polides has a very strong passive against Cleave. And now Solitar has a very strong passive against Rylet and against SSB. Those are the two notable ones. It is very important to note that focus is different than Fury, or I forgot. Focus is different than Fury or Battling Rage. I forgot the name of it, but they're different. Fighting Spirit. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. I'm fumbling over my words, but focus is different from Fighting Spirit, right? So to show you guys an example of some units, right? So Landy is Fighting Spirit, right? Landy is Fighting Spirit. And I believe it even says this on her skills. The way you can think about this is if they have a bar, like one singular bar, that is Fighting Spirit, it is not affected. So Ravi has one singular bar and it says specifically Fighting Spirit. So it does not counter Ravi. But when you look at someone like Seaside, it strictly says they get focus, right? And it's 5 focus versus like 100 fighting spirit, right? So that's some of the heroes that she counters, right? So it doesn't counter everything, but it does counter certain specific heroes. Particularly, the only ones that I can really think of that it really hurts are things like Rylet, SSB, and I know Violet also has focus. But those 3, it's a really big hit. So that part is really, really cool. So it's 100% stop focus gain. What this means is Seaside S2 is gone. So Seaside S2, you guys know how Seaside likes to S2 every time you hit her? That's gone. That's gone. Your Seaside can still get it, right? So if you're doing this in arena offense, your Seaside would still get focus. Their Seaside will not get focus. That Seaside's S2, as long as this unit is on the board, is essentially just a very slow unit with 1 S3. Y'all realize how much, like, Seasides, if they're not damaged Seasides, like fast damage Seasides, that Seaside is essentially shut out. It's over, right? This alone is single-handedly the hardest counter to Seaside. I don't think there's any other unit that counters a Seaside Bellona this hard. No Rowana, no Last Rider Crawl. There is 0 chance that Seaside gets to do anything. She only gets to do 1 S3. So it's pretty big, right? Y'all are thinking of heroes that you can use that are going to be the next one. I really do think it's going to be Emma Lilius next, although it might be Mil Kawasu. But as far as for this, I think it's very interesting that it does do this against Seaside. Oh yeah, the other one that this also... It should have... Oh, because RB comes up with 5 focus. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. Because it stops the gain. But does RB... Wait, I'm kind of curious. Does RB get... Does she just revive with 5? After seemingly throwing a question in hell, come awareness. So he revives with full focus, so it doesn't even stop RB. I didn't think about that. Yeah, so it doesn't really stop RB. It only really stops Seasides and Rylets. Also, fun fact, I pulled Arbiter Mildred yesterday. If you guys have followed the account, you guys know I did not own Arbiter Mildred until last night. So I'm very happy right now. And that's why I was very excited to do this stream as well. Kind of a small flex. Pulled it out of a Moonlight Summon, which was just made my night, you know. So it's very good times. But again, very, very good against Rylet and very, very good against Seaside. That's all you need to know about this one. The other one is that when she's buffed, has a chance to activate Daydream, which essentially, it's a 100% chance. It essentially becomes a Zero Ren. That's 100%. Right? So just imagine it that way. She essentially gets a sort of Zero Ren passive whenever she has a buff on her and she starts her turn. Which again is pretty nice. Right? That's actually pretty nice. Nothing crazy. But it can be pretty annoying, as you'll see with the S1. Now let's actually look at the rest of the kit, right? Because this alone is enough to stop Seaside, right? She could do nothing else, and she's already a good Seaside counter. Now it's Boom Starlight. It's on a 3-turn cooldown, which is actually very low for an S3. That is really low for an S3. Essentially, you can almost have her perma-stealthed. She has 1 turn which she's not stealthed because she does gain stealth from the skill. And what this does is it reduces buff duration by 1 before attacking. So think Melissa, think Elfelt. They really hit Rylet hard in this past patch. Very, very hard. They hit because Elfelt does the same thing now. Melissa still exists. And now this unit, Rylet has significantly more counters than he ever did before after this patch. Like Rylet is not going to be the same monster that he used to be with all these counters coming out as of right now. But her being one of a big Rylet counter, again, because it's reduced the buff duration by 1 before attacking, before stunning, and then pushing back. It essentially takes the Rylet out of the fight. So, pretty tough. Pretty tough stuff. And it's single target. At first, I thought the skill was AoE, and if this skill was AoE, this unit would actually probably be the best unit in the game. But thank goodness that it was just single target damage. Because if this was AoE, I really thought it was over. I thought the meta was done. I was like, I am never going to be able to play Epic 7 again because this unit's going to be freaking everywhere. But it's only single target damage, which means that her value is not as insane. But the cooldown is very good. And she does get stealth, so it's hard to hit her, especially if you pair with SCC. And it does make her quite a good quote-unquote control unit because you're able to essentially control down a unit pretty efficiently, as we'll see also with the S1. Again, the S1, if you have a buff, I believe, you get to do, and if you see the animation, this looks like an AoE skill. I didn't read the effect, I just saw the skill and I didn't really look at it. I just saw that it was like a massive explosion, and I thought it was an AoE skill, but it's only single target damage. You see there, it only hit the Faithless Litica, it didn't hit anyone else on the board. One thing that I do find interesting is that it targeted the Faithless Litica, which means that it's going to have the same AI as Assassin Sid for arena defense, because it did not target the top model Luluka. It actually targeted the Faithless Litica. So it's actually going to go for the highest comer in his unit. That's pretty impressive, actually. That's really cool. So she's going to function like an A Sid in that aspect. I didn't know this, by the way. This is the first time I started thinking about this, that the AI actually targets the fastest unit on the board. That's really good. And then, of course, the S1, when you use it on your turn, similar to how the Yufing, so you don't even need a buff. It's an AoE attack that's essentially Dizzy. This is essentially Dizzy's S1, but you have to remember her S2 also gives her the ability to get Daydream, which allows you to apply a random debuff. So not only is it's essentially Dizzy with a consistent Syrah red. That's really annoying. Right, that's very, very annoying. It's very, very annoying. That's all I have to say about it. The S1 is very, very annoying. So overall, pretty cool kit. Very control centric kit. Very anti cleave as well. And as far as the Soulburn, so let me get at the cohesive kit, right? So the stealth on the S3 is very interesting. Because with the Soulburn, the only thing I don't like about the Soulburn is that it's 20 souls, which is quite a large amount of souls for just guaranteeing yourself being stealthed for 3 turns. But the extra turn is nice because it allows you to set up into an AoE attack. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I could see it being used for cleaving, since you can take out a target, like you can take out a Polides, right? Again, Alphel probably does something similar to this, but it's the same idea with Alphel and her. You can use her to set up a cleave, since you can hit the Polides, stun the Polides, push back the Polides, but it's a little bit less consistent because it doesn't ignore FRES. So overall, how do I expect it to be played? She's probably gonna she's gonna play like a control Assassin Sid. She looks very fun in the fact that she's a AoE mage that is very annoying, very, very annoying, right? Her whole kit is annoying, right? She's not going to be doing damage. She's mostly there to control and be annoying. Primarily with this stopping Seaside and this applying those debuffs, they're actually pretty annoying. It's only for 1 turn, but decrease attack, decrease hit chance, and cannot buff, those are all really good debuffs. Even the decrease speed. All these debuffs are like A tier debuffs. The only thing she's missing is like a decrease defense. So very, very strong, very, very annoying. The S1 being AoE, that's super annoying because it's essentially like an AoE. It's a Dizzy's S1. It's a Dizzy's S1 with an added debuff, which again, that's just super annoying. And then of course the S3, which is actually what she does, that she's able to stun, push back, and she strips buffs before doing that. So as far as whether or not to pull and then overall things for her, I think for looking at her kit, she's going to be a very strong arena defense unit and potentially Guild Wars defense unit. Why? We just saw with the AI, this targets the fastest speed enemy, right? So that's amazing for anti-cleaving. And the other thing is her passive counter Seaside. And if you guys know anything about arena defense, the big thing with arena defense that you want to do is stop Seaside and stop cleave. That's all you ever care about in arena defense. If you can stop those 2 things, your defense is already successful. It doesn't matter if you're losing that often. If you stop C-set and you stop cleave, you're not getting hit as often, which means you're able to climb easier. And the fact that she's able to counter C-side and counter cleave all in one unit is very, very, very powerful, right? So I do see her becoming a very good arena defense unit and potentially an okay Guild Wars defense unit. Since Guild Wars is very different and is very bruisery, I don't think she'll see as much play there. But for arena defense, this could get really, really annoying. Granted, she does still have some counters. So again, the biggest counter is going to be none other than Last Rider Craw. Since she's forced to AoE and Craw is able to put immunity, it is going to be annoying. The thing about it is this AoE attack can also be put on Lela Violin. So you are able to do an AoE attack that also strips, right? So not too bad against Last Rider Crawl if you're able to strip the immunities and she is a mage. But still enough that he's going to be able to ramp up and he's able to do a lot of S3s. And the nice thing about it is she has built-in sustain, or survivability, not sustain. She has that built-in stealth that will make it so the opponent has to bring AoE against her. And if you pair it with something like a Fallen Cecilia, they're kind of forced to bring a Basar, but if they bring a Basar and you target the Basar down, then it's almost like, okay, Basar doesn't really counter her for arena defense, because if she outspeeds your Basar and your Basar is your fastest unit, that Basar is getting stunned and pushed back. Your whole cleave is done. You're not going to touch her anytime soon if there's a FCC. Now, for me, or for anyone that has Operator Sigrid, it's not that big of a deal since she has Guiding Light, right? And that's the thing with Faithless Lidica. This doesn't stop things like Faithless Lidica. So there's that. So all in all, she's a control unit that's most likely going to become a staple defense unit. If you hate Seaside a lot, if you hate Rylet a lot, she's a really good unit. The only thing if it's only Rylet hate, you already have Elfelt. So I don't see the point of bringing her over Elfelt in most situations. But against Seaside, she's the best Seaside counter. So that's the nice part. Unknown character, I think she'll be a good unit to pair with Spez. The only problem with Spez and her, she is significantly faster than Specimen Cess. So unless you're also building your Specimen Cess fast, it's not the best. There are better units for Specimen Cess that have better options. So that's the only thing, right? I don't think it's the best Specimen Cess counter to it. So Sean, if she looks, I like Ida a lot, right? I like Ida. Her, I don't like that she's single target damage, but I do see her being very, very annoying. I do see her being good. She's not a bad unit. As far as should you pull or not, something tells me that the next ML is either going to be Sage Ball or a Tywin for the regular banner, right? Because we have the reruns. So would you take her over a unit like Sage Ball and a Tywin? That's a hard choice, right? So we'll have to see what the unit is afterwards. I don't think she's a must pull, quote unquote, unless you really care about arena, or if you have really good speed gear, right? Because if you have really good speed gear, I think it'd be really, really good. So there's a lot of options there. And why do I think it's a Tywin? Because a Tywin and Sage, it's most likely Sage Ball. I don't know if it'll be Spez. It'll be interesting if it's Spez though. But I think it might be Sage Ball. And her over Sage Ball, I think Sage Ball's still better. But it'll have to be seen. We'll have to see in the future. But again, overall, yes, Laura Ryan, she is a very good specific counter. She's a counter unit. She's not a use in every situation type of unit. She's a unit that you would pick against things like Cleave. She's a good unit to pick against things like Seaside, Rylet. But against tanky teams, she's just a little annoying bug that's just gonna potentially stun a key unit, right? And Guiding Light still also does affect her a lot. So she doesn't really counter things like Landy, which are very prevalent right now. Landy, Opisig, new Elfel. People can still outspeed you, but she does have pretty good base speed, so she can still be used. And she'll probably function similar to an Acid. Also with things like Briar Witch. Briar Witch kind of destroys her a little bit. Briar Witch just dumpsters on her, and Basar not as much, because if you outspeed, you're in a faster speed tier than Basar. So you can actually counter Basar with it. So it's an anti-cleave unit. But I would wait. She's a light unit. But I would wait until we get the next one. Again, it's completely up to you. If you hate Seaside, if you hate Rylet, she's a very strong unit for that. If you like to play control, she seems like a really good control unit overall. I may not do a lot of damage, but has a lot of control capabilities. But primarily a counter unit, not a use everywhere unit. Me personally, I think I'm actually going to be skipping on this unit. Just because I don't see myself using her that often. Unless for arena defense, I know I would use her all the time. So I'll see. I'm pretty far from Pity. I might try to go for her just because I'm far from Pity. But I would wait. She's a good ban pick, yeah. She's a good counter pick. She's a great counter pick. She can make people force ban her, which is a good thing, but it's not a unit that you take everywhere. But pretty nice. Pretty spicy. Overall, I like it. It's a good unit. It's a well-designed unit. They are going with the countering phase right now. Smoggy is really liking just countering units right now. I don't know why. It's been their new thing. Because Polides counter cleave. I'm a little bit counter control. This unit counters specific units in cleave. So the next one will probably be like a tank counter or something. But that's it for... I don't even know her name because they changed it so often. It's Emilita. I'm just going to say Emilita. It's very similar to Emilita. But yeah, I think they're going to do a lot of focus unit. The only thing, Andrew, I don't think she'll be able to prevent Arbiter Vildred from getting S3. Because she opens... Arbiter Vildred, the wording says for Arbiter Vildred, for the S2, it says... You just appear with max focus. You're just there with max focus. You just revive with max focus. It's not really gained. So we'll have to see if that's something that, how that interaction functions, right? If it's something that's an actual gain versus just appearing with. Particular wording, but Smoggy may not have cared about it. But alright. Now moving on to Kana, who is someone that everyone can get. I am very happy with this one, right? I am very, very happy with this one. And yeah, she's kind of like in the same place as Polides, where Polides has a lot of really unique uses, but primarily is there for counter picking. But now let's actually look at bomb model Kana. I'm actually a really big fan. I actually really like what they did with her. I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. I love her design. I love that her kit seems versatile. I like that she's a PvE and PvP unit. And I like that she doesn't look useless. I don't know how the ratios are, but I like everything else. And hey, what's up, Blake? That's the first time I ever see you. But alright, let's actually look at Kana and just talk about her overall, how she looks, how she's feeling, right? Overall, this ultimate looks gorgeous, right? Zero complaints on the design. I love the design. I like the awakening that's crit rate. That's really cool. But actually, let's actually look at the stat lines, right? So as far as stat lines, she gets attack on herself. Very standard Ranger stat line. Really good speed, pretty solid attack, decent defensive stats so they don't just get one shot, and has some effectiveness for her S3. Again, Guiding Light makes a lot of these units very, very good. Very, very strong, right? A lot of these units become very, very strong with Guiding Light. And she's a unit that can actually abuse Guiding Light, which is, again, something that's... If you can abuse Guiding Light, you're already going to be a decent unit. So when looking at the kit, the baselines are fine. They're okay. It's something that I would expect from this type of unit, where like they're damaged, but not super insane. And I did see that plague. It was very interesting. But alright, as far as the S3, it's an AoE attack, right? Was attack on enemies with 50% buff before increasing the speed of all allies, right? If you actually look at it, it's an AoE attack that dispels and increases speed of the team, as well as increasing her own attack. Why I'm such a big fan of this S3 is because it does a little bit of everything, and I like the idea that it's keeping up with Polides, with like speed buffs, with like things like Landy. So the speed buff AoE is very nice. The dispel buffs is okay. The only problem with it only being one buff is things like Landy can be protected by Fallen Cecilia barriers. That's the only problem with this skill, is you're not able to strip Landys properly, or other stealthed units as easily, since Fallen Cecilia interaction just makes it so you strip the barrier. But I really like that she gives speed to everyone and increases her own attack, allowing her to set up for later. That part, cool. Really, really, really cool. The other part is going to be the stances, right? But I think they go over the S1 first. So the S1, very basic, but very cool. Attacks two enemies, kind of like a Stene, right? Essentially a Stene that you don't have to set up. It's just a hit two. Very basic, very nice. Does damage, right? Nothing bad. I love having more units that can hit two targets, because that makes it so like it's a pseudo Stene counter in this situation. Since you're able to S3, set up speed buff, set up attack buff, and you can follow up the next few turns with S1s that can hit Stenes. That I think is really cool. And it probably does some okay damage. And it looks really cool when she just shoots them. right? It just looks really, really weird. She's just kind of like, it's really, I really like her model. Her model is just insane. And then of course the stance shift. This one's a little bit interesting, but essentially when you have your S3 available, you get high effectiveness, so you're able to hit that on that strip. But the really cool part comes from this part, because you're able to up your dual attack chance by quite a lot. I think it goes up to 15%. That means you have a 20% chance to dual attack with her, and her dual attack attacks 2 enemies. Let that sink in. Imagine if you're just dual attacking and you dual attack with her, you hit 2 enemies every time, just pew pew pew, right? That's really cool. And she speeds up herself with an already fast base speed unit and gives herself increased speed, right? So let's say you make her 240 speed. She gets speed buff, which is a 30% boost. That puts her at around 304 speed, plus the 15% that she gets to the base. That's like 340, 350, 360 speed unit, right? That's insane. She's gonna be moving. She's literally gonna be like, brrr, brrr. Oh, dude, it just looks so fun. This unit looks really fun. I don't know as far as like viability in PvP, but she looks so fun, dude. She looks so fun. It looks really fun unit, right? That's what I like. That's what I like about her. Also, good. Thank you for pointing that out on non-character, that she does damage first, so that way you actually do have a chance to take off the barrier, right? Depending on the damage. But it's really, really cool. Oh, and she gets attack buff. Yeah, I really like the kit. I really like the kit. Like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't see her becoming like insane, but you can never underestimate a ranger that does damage that has access to guiding light. That's all I'm gonna say. You can never underestimate those type of units, because whenever you have units that are fast, that do damage, that have innate protection, in this case of course being guiding light, and then she hits 2 allies, that's really, really cool. She's probably the best green expedition out there by far. Very good abyss, very good everywhere. She has a very strong PvE presence, like overall. You can probably use her in Asimec Hunt. You can use her pretty much everywhere. She just has a solid kit for PvE, but also has that PvP capability that I like to see, right? I'm a big fan whenever I get units that can do PvP and PvE. Oh, that's beauty. That's beauty. You can never ask for anything else, right? So it's everything you could want. The artifact, I was confused about this because it just feels like they're just dropping it into the pool, but I kind of like it. I mean, it's single-handedly a huge stab boost. I mean, 20% crit rate, that's equivalent to 4 rolls on your gear. And critical hit damage, that's equivalent to like about 4 rolls as well, right? So it's just giving you 8 rolls for free. That's really cool. You get 8 rolls for free essentially if you put this artifact on. Again, this for PvE is probably like godly. You can probably do some insane PvE runs with this. You can probably clear all the freaking Dagger Sakar missions, just slap on this artifact on her, take her to the Earth expedition, and she'll just solo it by herself, right? Because she just does so much for your team. Speed buff, invaluable. Hitting 2 targets, invaluable. She's just the best DPS for that right now. I think her, Ball, and like the team that they showed here is probably not the best. Like, change this to like a Hazel. Oh yeah, this is getting deleted, right? You can probably solo this boss. I expect people to do that. To be able to solo the boss after they build their Kanas, right? Because that's how good I actually think she'll be for the expedition. Blue, you're asking about Ross. For Ross, mine's not the best one out there, but it's pretty good. You want to have him be fast. You want to have him be as high health and defense as possible. And you want some effectiveness on him. I am wasting a lot of FRES here that I'm trying to reforge out, but this is something that I would want on a Ross, right? So, and of course the Adamant Shield. Ideal in immunity, if it's slower, for sure in immunity. If you're slower than 230 speed, for sure get him on immunity. If you can get him faster than 240, like if you get to 250, you don't really need immunity as much. But I like to have it because of Cerise. But as far as Kana, I'm a really big fan. I'm a really big fan. That's all I gotta say. Oh, it's hit chance, not critical hit rate. Thank you for pointing that out, Holden. I really thought it was a critical hit rate, but still, it's for 4 rolls here on the critical hit damage. I didn't know. That's weird. That's hit chance. I misread that. So thank you for correcting me, Holden. I appreciate that a lot. But it's pretty spicy. But not viable for things like, since, you know, Guiding Light is just the superior ranger artifact out there right now. Which is just the nature of it, right? All these people are competing with Guiding Light. And in terms of PvP, you would want her on Guiding Light if you're using her for PvP. In PvE, you can use whatever you wanted. That artifact would be pretty spicy. But it's, I mean, she's a good unit. I think Smilegate did a good job. They did not disappoint me. When I saw this, I was not disappointed by her at all. Right? She looks great. Design's cool. S3 is great. She's free. Has great PvE content, and she has PvP capabilities. It's all you could ever ask for a free unit, right? There's nothing more you could ask for from this. So I'm a big fan. I do think she'll get play just because she's free and she's cool, and people will want to build her. I could definitely see people building her, but as PvP, time will tell. I think she'll be okay, and people will definitely have success with her. Higher her up, where people have more AoE, where people have Cereses that can reveal her easily, and other water heroes, it may not be as insane. So, oh yeah, kind of looks like S tier icon for the thing. But yeah, I'm happy with I'm happy with Kana. I'm very happy with what they did. I'm happy that they did the connection. I'm happy with most of the things. Doc, I know it's very hard. I saw the connection, the quests for her are like insane. Like they're actually pretty insane. Like if you look at her connection, I think it's like this one's the one that's just ridiculous. This one. All these other ones are very achievable. It's this one that most people are like, dude, are you serious? Because it's a specific type of mob, which means you can only farm like 5 every run. So it takes, or it's only 4. Yeah, so it's only 4, which means you have to run 200 adventure stages, which is equivalent to 1,600 energy. So it is very grindy. And I think they did it on purpose because it's a 5-star. But I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's something that I'll eventually do because she looks really, really cool. BBK, I don't have a good build for her. Lou, you can go into the Discord and ask Giru. So in the Discord, ask Giru for a good Viking or good BBK. Alright, now let's actually look at the updates. As far as the stages, I have not looked into it, ISAT. That's something that I'm sure that someone's already probably posted, and you could probably be able to just post it there, but you can only do 4. But okay, as far as updates, right? So what's been happening in the world of Epic 7? New Guild Wars season, which I still hate that they do this. But I don't know why they make it so the Guild Wars season is so freaking short, right? It's such a short season. And it's just like, we just got to 5x reward, and they're like, all right, new season, go back to destroy a newbie guild. I don't like that they make us do that. I don't think it's fun. No, I don't think anyone has fun beating up on noob guilds. So, and I'm sure the noob guilds don't enjoy getting like destroyed by like upper level guilds. I'm sure it's just demoralizing. So I don't like that they still do that pre-season where they like reset your score. Very annoying. I kind of understand why they do it, but yeah. Someone asked for the Operator Sigrid build. This Operator Sigrid, I'll showcase her eventually. I wanted to make the video, but everyone keeps banning her. I can show her for Arena though later today. But it's not the best one. It's a setup Operator Sigrid hybrid. So I made her do damage as well as setup. There's cleave ones, and there's also just straight setup ones. Straight setup ones are faster with more effectiveness, but not as much offensive stats. So, but yeah, it's cool. It's nice. But yes, I would build Operator Sigrid. She's very, very, very fun. I love Operator Sigrid. But yeah, I don't like that they do this. No one likes doing the reset, but it's getting reset, so we'll get our frames, right? So my guild will finally have their frame tomorrow. And now we have, for the new season, we have the new artifact. Overall, it's no symbol of unity. It's no proof of valor, but I think it has potential. When looking at this, I think it has a lot of potential as an artifact. The reason why is this just raw attack boost to your team by 10% is very, very nice. And I could see it having a lot of potential for cleave teams. The only problem I'm still trying to figure out right now is what do you take out? Because cleave teams are very tight on the artifact selection that they have. You need the books for the mages. You need the guiding lights for the rangers. You need the portraits or the symbol of unities for the damage dealers. So I am wondering what units would hold this artifact, or what unit will hold this artifact. That would be like, that would make it really, really good. The attack by itself is very, very nice boost. This one's just like icing on the cake. I don't expect this one to be like as significant, but hey, you know, as fights go on, this could help a lot. But hey, later Plague. But it's interesting. I mean, it's okay. Cerise could use it, but I feel like Cerise using this over something like Confile, it's hard to justify at times. Unless it's an aggressive Cerise, right? If it's like a Cleave Cerise, I could see Cleave Cerise as using this, because she can actually utilize all the parts of this in a Cleave. If it's not in a Cleave, I don't see her using it over something like Confile. But overall, it's not a bad artifact. It's not like a must get, but it is very nice to have. These are the frames, which they always make this one look so ugly, but it's better to have no frame than have a frame. Alright, now hero adjustments. We talked about these ones last week and the actual skill adjustments, and the changes have been significantly better. And G-Perg, yeah, G-Perg would be pretty good for this one as well, just because G-Perg is able to set up into a variety of stuff. But as far as Soul, not as crazy. He's still pretty fun. From what I've heard from people that actually have Soul built, is they really enjoy him. I could probably try him out. I do have my Soul fully maxed out. I think I even have him fully Moon as well. I'm kind of curious where my Soul is. Oh, he's not maxed Awaken, and he has no molas on him. Never mind. So I mean, it's quick to build, but people have been saying he's really fun. They have been enjoying him for sure, so that's been cool. But we talked about him. Essentially, he's an AoE counter now. So whenever there's an AoE, he will counter, even if it's landy. Because the thing about it is that the counter attack mechanic is an extra skill, which means that it triggers based on a condition. It's not a counter attack. So a landy using S3, this would trigger. The only problem is there's usually units that go before, but it can interrupt certain cleaves. So that part is really, really nice, that you can interrupt certain cleave teams with this unit. Then L Felt. This one, oh man, this unit is actually looking so good. So good. Everyone I've talked to that's tried out their Elfelt has said Elfelt is insane. Everyone has just essentially told me that. They're like, Elfelt feels crazy. Elfelt feels like busted. They're like, arena defense, easy mode. Because they're saying, you guys know how, let me actually pull the arena defense. Right now, the Politis, FCC, T-Surin combination, Rowana is very popular right now. T-Surin just kind of dumpsters that, right? She just kind of like looks at that and just goes like, just destroys it. I would personally, man, that's a hard one, Suffering. If you're an early game player, Dizzy, if you're a late game player that's thinking of cleaving Alpha, if you're a cleaver, period, you need to get Alpha. But a lot of these defenses, Alpha kind of just comes in, right? You have a stripper, you have someone who strips, you have Alpha come in, take out, like, example, the Politis or whoever is going to take turn 1, usually the Politis, you sleep them, you set up a decreased defense AoE, and then you just finish off the cleave. It's a 2-unit AoE decreased defense. It's really good. It's really, really, like, just think about that. You're able to, from 2 units, with 2 units, you're essentially able to set up team-wide attack buff and AoE decreased defense, which gives you 2 units to counter the rest of the team. So it's a very extremely versatile cleave type of unit. She does not need to go first. I saw someone mentioning that. She does not need to necessarily be a speedy one. Some people are actually opting for damage ones at around 250 speed, 230 in some scenarios, and giving her guiding light. If they have immunity, that's why you have a stripper, right? That's why you have someone that goes before her. So for example here, you can just put a Basar, a Cerise, right? You can just put Cerise. You can just come in with Cerise, strip, set up attack buff, set up decreased defense, cleave with the last 2. And the last 2 could be like anything you want. Bildred for speed contesting, Vivian, Tomoka, right? Because you can use Tomoka. Why? Alpha can just sleep her. That you would, or you can just straight out take her out, right? If you build her good enough, you can just straight up take out Polides, right? Start the fight, strip, kill Polides. Boom. Tomoka's free now. Kill Arbiter Mildred. You have your third unit to deal with these two. Could be a Knight, could be an FCC, could be whatever you want. Since you already dealt with the two main threats of the defense, you're pretty much going to win at that point. So very, very powerful unit. L felt very, very insane. The big... Oh, man, it's really hard right now because with Pity. So Dizzy is an amazing PvE unit. An amazing PvE unit. And also has some PvP potential. Although she has definitely fallen off the meta. She's not as strong as she used to be. She's not the same PvP monster as she used to be. That's something that we have to accept. I know a lot of people still haven't accepted that. But it's true. She's not the meta monster that she used to be. There are more than one counters to her. So she's not that same level of threat. Elfelt right now is insane for cleave. And can even work in aggro teams, which is what I'm actually personally running. So for an aggro team, Elfelt is amazing. For PvP, Elfelt is going to be your best option. So if you're someone that's PvP only, or very PvP focused in your late game, Elfelt is the one I would go for. If you're someone that's still very far back in Abyss, very far back in PvE, you barely have any teams, Dizzy would not be bad. But if you're thinking of cleaving, I think Elfelt's probably going to be one of the best tools you have in your disposal. So I almost want to say the priority should be Elfelt, Dizzy, and Baiken being last. Baiken not really carrying. So as far as her replacing F Flurry does a little bit more than the S3. But as far as, and the thing about F Flurry, she doesn't necessarily hit the unit, which is what's make F Flurry so good. So, and she doesn't have the same tankiness. She's more of an aggressive F Flurry, right? People in control used to use F Flurry to take out priority target units at the start. Elfelt in those scenarios is just better, right? So for control, for cleave, for aggro, Elfelt is just better. And for PvE, Dizzy's probably the best one. And Baiken's just kind of like a nice option to have. Out of all of them, Baiken should be your lowest priority. It's not the end of the world if you don't even get Baiken. Like, the only real place people use Baiken at is Banshee. And we have to be realistic about that, right? She's your lowest priority. If you don't pull for her, I wouldn't lose too much sleep. You can definitely easily do her job with other units that are free to play. Some that are not free to play, right? So there's definitely other units that do Baiken's job. And she's not really any PvP relevance that I know of. Unless those couple of people that have an insane Baiken build. But it's just there's better units out there. So in terms of priority, because PvP is such a big part of the game, and because I'm a PvP player, my recommendation would be going for Elfelt. If you get Dizzy, that's great. That's really good. If you have extra summons, having a Dizzy is nice because she's actually a pretty nice unit to have. It gives a lot of versatility. I can't personally remember the last time I used my Dizzy, but I did use her a lot in mid game, like a lot in mid game. And then Baiken is your lowest priority. Confile, it's a really good artifact for Cerise for PvE and a really good artifact for Seaside for PvE. You want to at least have a copy, but I wouldn't go out of my way to try to get it when you can just buy it from the shop. I would just buy this from the shop and call it a day. You only really need one. Extra copies just make it consistent. Same thing with Torn Sleeve. You only really need one if you're trying to use like Karen in PvE. But it's nice to have more. So it's nice. And if you're wondering about Baiken, you guys have to remember that I actually have a triple SS Baiken. So, and I did used to actually use her for cleaving back in the day. Back when the meta was different. 2 years ago. Like the first month of PvP. Here's my little Baiken. She is triple SS. So you don't need to just buy it from the shop. That's all I'm gonna say. Just buy Confile from the shop. But don't use this. Don't use your Star Mirage for Miss Confile. You only really need one copy. It's not the same thing as something like as impactful as like Guiding Light, right? Having more copies would be nice. If you get more, that's great. You know, more consistent. But it's not the end of the world if you only have one copy. But all right. as far as the Mirage Shop, you see it there. You can buy it outside with powder, which is always nice. All right, now the GG Collab. So if it's your first GG Collab, it's probably not the best experience for GG Collab, but it's going to be the fact that it's not really an event. It's not the same, right? They just made the portrait and they added the actual story permanently to the hall, right? So kind of sucks in that aspect. It doesn't really feel like an event. I don't really feel like I'm doing Guilty Gear, even though I've already read the storyline both times, and both times were great, and I wouldn't want to read it again. I'll say that. I believe it did get added in here, or it will be added in here later on. So it should be added in here later on. I imagine it'll be added in here later on, but it does feel kind of like a slap in the face that, like, you don't really get a storyline for it. You don't get Soul. That's the big one too. You don't get Soul Triple SS anymore. If you didn't play Epic 7 the past 2 years, you're not getting Soul again. That's the only one that kind of sucks, is that they put Soul here instead of just like having other ways to farm for him. I thought that one was weird. It's not the end of the world. I know there's a lot of people that were complaining in like let me skip through that real quick. I know there's a lot of people that were complaining about this, but the thing that they have to realize is that this is the third rerun of the collab, and veteran players were very tired of seeing it, right? It was a very grindy event. It was a lot of energy that you had to spend, and it took a very long time, and it was just terrible, right? And it's the third time the story has run through, right? So I think it makes sense what they did. I think the reason why people are upset is because of the Soul one, and because it was so blindsided that they didn't really announce anything until like yesterday, right? It was like announcement, update, boom, and it's just like, whoa, what? There's no real GG collab this time. But I imagine it will get added to that section where you can spend the 900 crystals and you can get it. I do wonder if they'll include the Soul in there. But I would not spend anything on the Soul. Soul is cool. Soul is fun. But not getting him triple SS is not the end of the world, right? It's not the end of the world. Soul is not that game-breaking of a unit, right? You don't have to get him from the shop. I do not recommend you get him from the shop. If you're getting Soul from the shop, I mean, he's only 10, so it's not terrible. So if you really want Soul, it's 50 summons, right, to get him triple SS. But it's still like, do you really need it? I mean, if you really like Soul and you're a collectionist, then yeah, you can get him. You can just finish him off. But it is 50 summons. That's halfway to pity, right? So, I mean, it is nice. It does give him attack. It's not the craziest awakening in the game, but it is nice to have. And if you think you're gonna use Soul a lot in PvE, then by all means do it. But 50 summons is 50 summons. And if you're in between getting 5 copies of Soul or getting a copy of Dizzy, oh yeah, you're getting Dizzy. 100%. 100%. If you're between getting the triple SS Soul and getting a Dizzy, that should be a no-brainer. You should be going for the Dizzy, right? Even like between him and Biken, it's like, it's very tight. So it's not the end of the world if you don't triple SS him. You do get him for free, 1 copy, but the triple SS is the one that you have to buy it. So that's it for that. Now this one I'm actually kind of excited about, but at the same time, I don't want to hype myself up too much. But yeah, if you have the resources to get it, I mean, yeah, Soul is a pretty good PvE hero. He's a nice single target damage dealer, which is really good. But now let's move on to this one. Super Maid Queen's Super Event. This event has so much potential to either make someone really happy or make them mauled, right? And why? So you get it 1 time. Keyword, you only get this 1 time. You only get 1 equipment with this. I want to say that because I know there's going to be someone that's not going to know it's 1 time. They're going to get a trash piece of gear and then they're going to be super disappointed, right? But what this event does is essentially you get to craft your dream piece of gear, kind of like a hunt pity, right? You get points by, I believe you get it by by just crafting gear, right? So as you craft, you get points, right? So now let's start, right? I have to pick my set, right? So for me, my recommendation from this, right? And to an extent, they did kind of copy this from Summoner's War. Summoner's War has done that in the past, right? But for me, right? And what I would recommend for most people is the sets you should go for are speed set or immunity set. Why do I say these two sets? They are the most universal sets in the game. If you're going for any of these other ones, they are very niche. The unit that you put that gear, while it may fit them perfectly, it's not gonna work in the future. Rolls could go terribly. You can get a +2 roll and then you'll be depressed, right? So I would tell you, get something between speed or immunity, because these two are the most universal in the game. The other thing is you're going for neck, ring, or boots, because those are the ones that are the hardest to actually get the substats for, right? So you want to try to make this as general as possible. So for me, I'm in between the fence, right? I'm really deciding between immunity or speed. In case of speed, let's say I get the starting substats to get the perfect DPS ring, which is what I need because I don't have a single one, right? Let's say I have speed, attack main, flat attack, speed, crit rate, critical hit damage. Let's say for some reason it all rolls into attack. That speed gear wouldn't be that great for a speed unit, which is why I'm personally actually going to go for immunity for an offensive ring, since I know most of my DPSs will use an attack ring anyway. So that one is really, really strong. Young Lord, I would not recommend doing the left side. Why would I not recommend doing the left side? Because the left side is a guaranteed main stat. The right side, you are never going to get your guaranteed main stat with those substats. It is very hard to get that right side, right? Which is why I recommend it. For me, I'm going to go with immunity because I know I can use more of it. But I would recommend one of these two sets. Any other set, I don't think is that good. I think that it's not ideal because they're not general. If that unit that you're putting that perfect piece on ends up getting nerfed, well, there's never going to be a nerf, but gets indirectly nerfed and you're not using them as much, you won't be able to switch that OP piece to something else, which is why speed or immunity. Counter set is fine too, although it has to be like a tank, like if you do it right, but you want to use the most general. I would say these two are the ideal ones. This one is okay. The rest I would not do. I would not do because they're very specific sets, unless you just love this unit and you know you're going to use them for the rest of your life, which you can't guarantee that. You only get this once, right? That's why I'm saying this or this. That's it. You get this once, it's done, right? So I'm going to go with immunity. So I select my set. I go for immunity. This is it. Once I do this, it's done. This is immunity. I can't change it. Oh, I can't change it. Can I? So I can't change it. So you can change it. So you can change your mind. But once you craft it, it's over, right? Once you craft this, it's over. You only get this once. Again, you only get this once. All right. Now, as far as the piece, I already know which one I want. I'm going for the ring. I want an OP ring, right? I want an OP DPS ring, so I'm going for ring, right? I don't have any good aggressive rings. I won't have enough points to show you guys the rest, but let's do the ring. So there's the ring. And now I can start picking the main stat, and then this will be some of the substats. I won't be able to show you guys that part since, you know, I'm not quite there yet. But for me personally, I know I'm doing attack percentage. Attack percentage is probably the best one you want to go for offensive one. I'm doing offensive. All right, there we go. That's where it is. You need to really look at your account, really know what's general, really know what you need, and go from there. The only problem with crafting a lifesteal set, let's say for some reason, the new unit who actually does kind of Rylet really hard and alpha, just destroy Rylet. So 3 months from now, you're not using Rylet nearly as much, which means you want to move that gear around to some of your better units. And that's what a lot of top players do. Like most top level players don't have as much OP gear as people think they do. They just switch it very often, right? And they have the units to switch it often for. But if you're not using that Rylet as much anymore, and you want to switch the gear around, you're kind of locked down to like 2 other units that can use the same lifesteal boots that Rylet used, being T-Surin, and that's like pretty much a Champ C maybe, right? Not a lot of options. Versus something like Immunity, if I get an attack percentage immunity ring that can go on Kayron, that can go on Landy, that can go on Arby, that can go on any DPS that Smoggett releases, that can go on Bruisers, that can go on anything I want, right? So that's why my recommendation to you guys is either go for something general like Speed Set or Immunity Set, because those are the best 2, right? I recommend you go for the right side. The left side, you really should not do. I know it's tempting because I'm someone that doesn't have a good speed helmet, but statistically speaking, you're more likely to get an OP helmet than get an OP ring with the main stat that you want and the OP substats. So it just makes the most sense for you to actually go in and craft a right side piece, neck, ring, or boot, since these are the ones that is the hardest to get the perfect substats for. So that's my recommendation. And then for substats, completely up to you. You can either choose, and the main stat as well. Me personally, I've always struggled finding attack pieces like for DPSs, but I know there's people that always struggle with defensive gear. So you can do defensive gear, right? You can always do that for sure, but it just depends, right? What do you mean attack ring with crit rate, crit damage, speed, and then everything rolls on the 4th stat? That 4th stat would be flat attack, and at that point, if it rolled all into flat attack, it'd be really good for Judge Kisei or Blingo. It would probably be like the best piece you could probably get for them, and some other really low base attack units. I think Kayron would be amazing with that. If it was an attack ring with crit rate, crit damage, speed, and everything rolls on the 4th stat. That 4th stat is flat attack. You have to remember that, Rodrigo. That 4th stat is flat attack, which can actually benefit a lot of heroes, right? Flat stats are actually really strong. But I have terrible speed chess and ring, so it's no brainer for me. Yeah, I just still recommend right side. That's my recommendation, because the substats, the helmet, it's just a lot easier to get good helmets, but it's really hard to get good right side. 3-star units for flat attack. Yeah, I mean, like Mersa would love it as well. I hope it's not too much. It's just statistically. I'm just trying to tell you guys, that's like if you really want to optimize your crafting. You are crafting a right side piece that's either speed or immunity set, since that's something that you're going to be using the most of, with the best substats and stats that you want, of course. And that's up to you. That's completely up to you what you put on it. Usually percentages are better. Crit rate necks are really good. Attack percentage rings are really good. HP percentage rings are really good. HP percentage necks that are really defensive are really good. I don't have many of those. So it just depends on where your account is, right? For the substats and the main stats. But I would, and if you really want to like optimize that one gear, that is still an option. But just know that you're taking a pretty big gamble. This event lasts for 28 days. So by the end of April, essentially. Near the end of April. So there's that. So that's that for that event. Really cool event. I'm really happy with it. I like it. I hope they incorporate it like more frequently. Like I kind of want this to be a monthly thing. I don't know if that's just me. Yeah, till 429. Yeah, but I don't know if that's just me. I kind of want this permanently. You know, kind of like a pity for gear. It'd be really cool if they made this permanent and made it like every month that you get this event, and they just implemented that. I think that'd be really cool because that means every month you're getting one OP piece of gear. So I think that's what I would like to see, but I know Smoggett probably won't do that. But it's cool. Once a month would be really great, right? You get the Abyss gear and you get this gear. That would solve most of people's gearing problems, right? People would not have to complain as much. So yeah, at the end of the day, you still have the lower rolls, right? As far as drop rate up, I'll talk about these guys tomorrow. Ken has really fallen off. He scales off of HP. He takes a little bit to get set up. And there's still a lot of really good water threats. I mean, he still can do okay. And a well-built Ken can do okay. And like he can actually kill things like Landy, but he doesn't have any AoE, which hurts him a lot in the Stene Landy matchup. The no AoE right now is really harsh. It's a very AoE centric meta, where if you don't have AoE, your units are not gonna be as strong as they could be, just because most DPSs have some form of hiding. So yeah, I mean, Jakkus, I think they will probably bring it back. I don't know how often. I don't know if they break the game if it was every month. We'll have to see what pieces come out of this event. I am really curious what people are going to be coming out with in this event. We talked about Kana. Really, really cool. Really, really happy with it. I am super happy with this. Expedition Depot. This is great. Big fan. The only thing I don't like. This irks me a lot. Why did they have to do it this way? This is really annoying, actually. Because the problem with this, I don't know why they still are trying to slow us down, man. Just give me the freaking modification stones. This I'm not a fan of, right? I thought it would be something that you would be able to pick, but you're locked into your set. So, Golem? This? Absolutely pretty much almost useless. I don't know why they just keep making Golem bad. And the Earth Expedition. They really just make me want to dislike it more. It's literally like they're telling me, look at this, hate it more. I hate this expedition. It's useless. So I'm not happy with this. I wish they just let you pick whatever you wanted, but I guess they gotta keep progression somehow. I don't know. I don't know the reason behind this. Of course, fire, always the best one. This one, always nice. This one, it sucks that it's not double immunity. I mean, it is what it is. We can't change it. And it's going to slow down progression a lot. So, kind of sucks. Not the biggest fan of that change. Not super happy with it. Could have been a lot better. There's a there's a Purgus recall, which, like, it's just because they changed some wording. I don't know what happened. Well, I got kicked out. That was weird. I don't know why there's no functional changes to Purgus, but they still let you recall, which I think is like, I mean, that's nice. If you have a 6-star G-Purg and you don't use them anymore, get free mats back. That's always super nice. And then the coin shop renewal, it's pretty trash. Both coin shops aren't great. More inventory space. This is actually really nice. Right? This is pretty great. And then yeah, it's pretty much all the big updates, right? So that's like all the big updates that Smallgate put out. So yeah, any questions that y'all have about anything that's been going on, we can definitely talk about. Some things that like what I would like to see with Golem, right? Because Golem right now is just so useless. There's almost no unit that wants a Golem set. There's almost zero reason to farm Golem. I almost want to say there's actually zero reason to farm Golem, right? Because right now the sets are just not strong enough. What I would like to see, I think Emilita will be good as well, the Avengers. I think she'll be good. I think she's a very good counter pick. She'll be an insane counter pick, actually. I don't think she's going to like break the game or anything, and I don't think she's going to be like insane. The recall is on Purgus. Green Purgus, not general, just regular green Purgus. But what I would like to see from the defense set, right? There's very few units in this game that use Golem sets. Very few and far between. I have one just because I got it from World Boss, right? I get all my Golem pieces from World Boss, and like half the time I don't know what to do with them, right? So like these two, that's the only time I farmed Golem was because I don't know why I was farming Golem. I kind of regret it now. But I got two really good pieces. I wish this was on any other set except this set. But it happened to run on this set, so we have to live with it, right? So right now, this is just inferior to every other, like to crit rate and to speed and to any other set. This stat gain is not proportionate, right? Why? Because when you think about 15% in terms of rolls, that's equivalent to less than 2 rolls. This buff is less than 2 rolls on your gear. On the other hand, if I had a crit rate set, that's 12%, which is equivalent to 2.5, about 2.5 rolls. So just inherently, you're better off if you're building someone like a Seaside, giving her 4 crit rate sets than doing what I did here, because you could easily make up for it. Like here I lost, like you see that these crit, like this one doesn't even have crit rate, but it's like you get more from using crit rate and other sets than you do from that. And then we look at things like attack set and crit damage set, right? So let's look at my Viking, because I think she's the only unit that really has crit damage set. So when we look at a unit like my Viking, for example, that's on a crit damage set, this gives you 40% critical hit damage, which is equivalent to about 5 rolls. That's huge. That's tremendous. That's something I would expect from a 5 set. 5 rolls equivalent. But then we go to someone like the attack set, right? So we'll look, I think my Melissa has a piece that's attack set. No, she doesn't. Where's my attack sets? I know I have them. But when you look at an attack set, it's 35%. So when you think of roll value, all these other sets are just worse in roll value than other sets of their kind. So it almost makes it so why would you even use these sets when you can just use crit rate set, when you can just use crit damage set, right? That takes 2 out of the 3. Then there's health set, which is arguably the only set that's okay, is health set. And even then, Afra set is still better, right? Because this one, again, less than 2 roll value. And then we look at an Afra set. And an Afra set is more than 2. So in terms of just raw roll value, there is 0 reason to farm Golem over any of the other sets. Right? You guys can see what I mean, why Golem is so useless. Why the only reason I even use some Golem gear is because World Boss drops like insane gears for some reason. And I end up using them because they're so good, right? It's hard to match up. But just looking at the books, they're underpowered. They're underpowered sets. And it is what it is. How would I like to see them buffed? There are 2 ways to see them to do this. Oh yeah, and also speed set is 25%, which is like single-handedly the single-handed largest set you could ever do, right? When you think about how to buff Golem sets, just raising the raw value of the attack set to match, if you match the attack set to the value of the critical hit damage set, I think it even needs to go higher, because the thing about attack percentage, even in terms of a roll value, having higher attack doesn't always equate more damage, because critical hit damage is a raw increase, but there are units with low base attack where critical hit damage is still just better. But if you made it look a little bit higher, like maybe 45%, that would be a really cool thing. The other thing they could do, and this one I feel like you guys are gonna roast me for, but I think it would be really cool, is if you had the sets, you got some form of quote-unquote buff. Right? So let's say for my attack set, right? If you had an attack set, let's say, this is what I would do, right? If I was Smoggy balancing team and I just wanted to like mess stuff around a little bit, drop the value of the attack increase to 30%, but make it so you start the fight with an attack buff. Right? Wouldn't that be cool? Like if you made attack set, give you an attack buff. So that way it's like, that's really good, right? Because you have that initial burst to start the match. And it can be very, very valuable to start the fight with attack. It will lead to a lot more cool stuff, right? I don't know. That's my thing. And then I think health set, what would be really cool for health set would be maybe giving like an FRES, like a small FRES buff, or a barrier, right? That'd be cool as well. Like seeing a barrier on like the health set. Right? Seeing a barrier would be really cool. And then for defense, you know, maybe like bouncing back 1% of damage that's dealt to you. Right? I don't know. I know these are like really hot takes. I know like you guys are probably like, are you trying to kill the game, bro? I just think they would shake things up a lot, you know? Is it bad for me to want like things to get shaken up like that? But of course, what they most likely will do, if they ever do anything about Golem, would be to just boost the raw stats that it provides and make it up to par with all the other sets. And even then, I feel like people just already hate Golem so much, so they're not even gonna farm it then. So there is that. I don't know, man. It's still a 4 set for the attack. It's interesting. Spaz, I would recommend a build similar to this one. Tanky with enough damage to kill a stun target. You can raise the speed if you want and drop some of the health if you're going for a specific combo. This one is just comboing with Taiwan in particular. Unknown character, I don't think nerfing speed set is the answer at all. I don't think speed set is nerfing speed set is the answer. That would just be like, oh man, so many people will quit the game. It'd be ridiculous. How many people would actually quit the game because of that? It'd be insane. Because you're literally be punishing players for playing the game for a longer time, and that's not something that you usually want to do. Because usually like the early population is what gets the boost for Smilegate, but the later population is usually the one that spends more. And then of course there's a Katie set, which I still think there's potential in these, but it's hard to justify farming this hunt over all the other hunts, right? It's a hard justification. And you would need insane gear to make up the stats lost from like crit rate set, right? For like the defense pen set, it's really hard to make up some of those stats. But yeah, it's just a core design thing. But they need to make it more appealing, because right now, honestly, I don't think there's anyone out there that was like, yes, Earth Expedition, let's go, Earth Expedition. I've been waiting for this forever. No one's saying that. No one wanted Earth Expedition back, except the people that wanted to do the Daggers to Car quest. So injury needs a buff. Revenge is okay, but it's just a little bit weird. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to show is someone had asked about Operator Sigrid and how I personally use mine. I use her in cleaving in arena. Man, my defense is getting deleted. I'm getting just OP Sigrid and tanked out. Yeah, there's a lot of Operator Sigrids right now floating up here. Huh. I didn't think that was something I needed to watch out for, but I guess I do. Let me go back to my old defense. The old defense I used to do was this one. And this defense is about to get a lot better. But this used to be my defense for a while. Although with Alpha being out, it's a little bit scarier. And ideally right now I'm putting my Charon in here, but ideally it'll be my RB once I finish building him. And I think it'll be a spicy defense, but we'll do this for now. I know it's worked. Sorry for the side thought setting this up. OP Sig is really good with Landy. With Alots as well, but the thing about it is there's a lot of Politis, right? So there's a lot of Politis here. I have a setup Operator Sigrid. So let me try to, I usually use it in a majority of these teams. But other teams are, let's do this one, right? This one, I'm starting to see a lot more of this defense, right? So what I typically like to do is I bring Operator Sigrid. I bring a really whale team, like a big whale team. You can do it differently, and I do change some of the units, but I always do like to bring a Tywin because I'm an a Tywin abuser. But I usually do something like this, right? And then if I'm worried about not surviving, I'll put a knight in here. So right now, I could probably put a knight, or I could put more damage, right? So I have those two options. Let's say right now I wanted more damage because I wanted to go faster. Since I don't have a streak right now, let's go a little bit more aggressive. And yes, James Sue, I finally got RV. Is there a way to throw out? Yes, you can actually click the trash button. I'll show you because I have one left. But Operator Sigrid, you see here, I'm faster than everyone. Since I don't actually I don't actually push up with Operator Sigrid. You guys see how he's faster than me with Politis, right? We can still go in here, use our S3, and she should push the Politis back to a point where my A-Tywin will go next. So it's just like S3, push back. So I get turn priority now. And now I get to set up with a Tywin because I was able to strip his immunity, right? So I stripped his immunity with Operator Sigrid. I gave him attack buff so he can do big damage. And yeah, see, it's pretty nice, right? I really like this cleave a lot, actually. It's pretty fast. Yeah, if you have an Operator Sigrid, this defense is like pretty free. I use a similar version to this for the T-Cern variants. So I just do that, and she's pretty much dead at this point, right? So I do that, and then I just put it on auto, because nothing else can kill me. If you have a really fast, you can do Symbol of Unity. I like mine on Guiding Light, because a lot of the times I use her for RTA, and I need her to have that so F-Clearies can't hit her. Because I don't have that fast of an Operator Sigrid, right? Like, my Operator Sigrid is a little bit on the slower side.
So you learn nothing from last time.
But yeah, it's pretty spicy. And it does work against like pretty much all Politis defenses. The A Tywin is basically just there for insurance, because there are times where I don't necessarily get the pushback on Politis, right? Because it's not 100%. It's 100%, but it's not like, you know, like F-Res is a thing. So I sometimes will put the oh man, we missed crit again. I don't have that high of crit rate on her. I need to fix that. She should have basically killed the Rowana there. But I usually switch it to a Landy. I like the A Tywin there to stop T-Cerns against the T-Cern style teams. Since against those situations, having an A Tywin in case things mess up, it helps. Make your Jacob make everything 2 and 4 set and adjust effects accordingly. I mean, a lot of things are already 2 set and 4 set, right?
Is that all you've got? At least
but yeah,
try to make it
that's my little OP sick, my little OP sick cleave. I will have to find another artifact for my T-Cern. I might put her on knife actually, since I use her with attack buffers quite often. But yeah, that's the Operator Sigrid. This is the video that was supposed to come out, was me showcasing this against different RTA teams, which I do use her a lot in RTA, but people are always cleaving right now, or they're banning her, right? So either she gets banned or they're going cleave. Against the cleave players, I can't take her against cleave, right? Because she's not that fast compared to their cleave units. And against tank teams, they always think she's the threat. So RTA, suffering Knicks fan, you'll get better at RTA as you play, right? So you'll get a lot better as you play RTA. You'll start seeing stuff more. You'll start catching up a lot of stuff, and you'll get there. You'll get there eventually. So for this one, I could probably take off the A Tywin, but I'm still gonna keep him just to show that it can still work. Right, like let's do a team like this one with Landy, and this one should work for this team. I probably should take a Bassar to this one. I don't think an Operator Sigrid is the best idea here actually, but I don't know how much damage this Landy can actually do to me. That's the problem. That's the only reason I don't want to do that, because I don't know how good this Landy actually is. Although I don't think there's a single Landy like this could be a full damage Landy. That's the only thing I'm worried about. It's a full DPS Landy that's gonna get boosted by this DJ, and it's just gonna smack. But if we get a Bassar through here, I mean, one Bassar is 3 and this whole team dies. So it shouldn't be bad. It should be a pretty easy cleave. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. I'll still leave Operator Sigrid in there. Although a Bassar cleave, Alpha would be perfect here, right? Put him, put Alpha, put 2 DPSs, GG, done. Easy clap. We'll put land. We'll keep Stenna actually, because he only has 1 threat, right? I only have to kill this, and I win. But alright, I'll finish this one, and it is getting late for me. I still wanted to do the stream because I missed the stream yesterday because of the update. So hopefully this is this makes up for it. Alright, so let's set up attack buff. We'll get turn priority with Bassar. If you're wondering, they are not currently speed 2. I should have these units speed tuned. The Bazaar should go before my Operator Secret. But I haven't speed tuned them yet.
Such arrogance. You think you can defeat me?
But yeah, it's, I mean, there's a lot of things. Yeah, Alpha and Operator Secret does the same thing, except I get to look a lot cooler when I use Operator Secret. And we're gonna save the souls there for later.
I'll finish this first, then go have some fun.
But nah, it's not arena main, bro. It's just I've been having too much fun with Operator Secret, and the teams do really well. So I have a lot of fun playing it. But yes, Alpha basically does this. And yes, this will eventually be an Alpha instead of a Tywin, and this will eventually be an Arbiter Vildred. So still a lot of room for improvement.
Come here.
Wow, this dude might solo me just from smacking me.
You learn now, take the lead.
Alright. We do have the soul burn still, so we are gonna start soul burning.
You want to try me?
I actually don't want to go on the Cerise anymore, because she has the barrier up right now. Man, we actually ended up... I didn't get to show off the Operator Secret S2.
For the sake of my mission,
But this S2 should be able to kill any enemy with a barrier.
switching to support.
It's pretty fun, actually. This unit is so fun. It's so fun. And don't worry too much about my my Tywin. He is on Holy Sacrifice, so even if he goes down here, he's coming back. So we're chilling. We're chilling. Hey, Tywin's so strong, dude. If this unit ever gets a rerun, it's one of the units I would actually recommend for pulling, like 100%.
Not bad.
I still want a soul burn because I want to get rid of this DJ Bazaar, so the series is not always bringing him in.
There's no escape.
Yeah, it's a little low for Operator Sigrid. I will tell you guys right now, Operator Sigrid is a very underrated unit. I think a lot of it comes from the fact that she's actually really hard to A, build, and B, use. It took me like a lot of time to finally figure out how to use this unit. Like, I think I did like mock battles with friends for like 4 or 5 hours, and I still didn't understand her. I thought she sucked. And then I tried again the next day in arena, and I thought she sucked. And then the third day, I tried one last time, and I finally understood how she worked. And I was like, that's how you would use her. That's how I can use her. And then I'm like, this unit is crazy, right? But, alright, it is getting extremely late for me. I am quite tired. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the update stream. If y'all enjoyed, make sure you like, subscribe, join the Discord server. I should be posting a video. It should be posting right as I go to sleep. So go check it out afterwards. It's top 5 4-star RGB units. Thank you all so much for dropping by. Really excited with the updates. Really happy with Kana. New unit looks cool. Looks like she has potential, but I don't think she'll be game breaking. I don't think she'll be a must pull unit. I think she'll just be a really good counter unit for what she does. She's a really good unit. Kind of similar to Emma a little bit, where like she does one job really well, but it can also has more potential with like Assassin Sid and the gear crafting. Make sure you craft the right gear. But that's all I got for you guys tonight, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.